I'm so excited. One, glad you're here. Two, just a quick check to make sure we're in the right place. This channel is all about American Girl. My name is Kristie. It's AG Takes Over. If you like American Girl dolls and you're looking for some like the comfort food version of doll content is the best way that I can put it. Like not not like the newest and the latest and the hot takes and the whatever. Like there is occasionally that, but mostly this is just hanging out with a doll friend, having a good time. Then you are in the right place. And back to my excitement. I am so excited. So, little backstory. I can't film where I really want to because I'm waiting on someone to fall asleep. And where I'm going to film, she will hear me. So, and then she'll never fall asleep. The someone is not my wife. The someone is the 5-year-old child. So, anyway, so for those of you who may not know, I live in Central Ohio, just outside of Columbus, and for several years, the Columbus, Ohio American Girl Play store was my doll store. Like, it was 30 minutes, if that, from our home, so it was nothing for us to go, it's rainy out, let's go to the doll store. Or, like, there's new stuff out and I want to see it and touch it and show people, let's go to the doll store. Or, I'm gonna go pick out a doll for someone who doesn't live near a doll store. Let's go. We had parties there. Party two, yeah, we did a birthday party and several teas and exclusive shopping events and met friends, had meetups, so many good memories. What I don't talk about as often is the fact that our daughter, who's now 5, was a preemie, and she was born 2.5 months early. So she spent 71 days in the hospital in the NICU, which was super, super crappy. Um, I've made a video about it. It's doll related because I made a like the telling of her story using dolls. Like I actually took the dolls into the hospital. I like had our at the time the closest thing I had to mini me's for my wife and I, and used the itty bitty baby for to represent our daughter and all of that stuff. Anyway, that's a rough start, and then we brought her home, and that was a rough transition because she had a lot of eating challenges. She's fine now. Um, and then like a one solid, really, really horrible, rough week home where we were miserable but didn't feel comfortable telling anybody we were miserable because, everybody thought we should be grateful and excited and we were probably on cloud nine. And then shut down for COVID. So, yeah, like preemie COVID baby, it was a rough start. And one of the first places when we finally felt like safe enough to let our guard down and take her anywhere in public um, was the American Girl store in Columbus. And I have so many, I'm going somewhere this is tied to the point of the story, I promise. So many good memories of her running around, playing with the bitty baby stove and oven and little kitchen set. Her some not so fun memories of like running after her and trying to find where she was, but mostly she was pretty surprisingly well behaved. Pushing the stroller around, carrying the babies around. Um, she really always was drawn more to the bitty babies and the welly wishers, and they had this giant, I mean, it's like taller than me, welly wisher playhouse that mimicked this welly wisher playhouse. Um, and she would always play in that. It's so much fun. All little kids, she would make little friends for like a 10-minute playtime while they were hanging out over there. And um, when they were getting ready to come out with this monstrosity, this very large, expensive, not impressive quality dollhouse, they didn't have room for, like, the American Girl store Columbus knew they were going to get that dollhouse from Kidcraft. It was like a AG Kidcraft collab. They knew they were going to get that, and they didn't have enough money for enough money. They didn't have enough space for both things. So we just came in one day and the playhouse was gone. I was like, I wonder if they're getting something different, what they're gonna do there. I don't know, and they didn't tell us at the time. And then they retired the playhouse, the actual like Welly Wisher size one, and they were coming out with the like castle. Um, so picture of the castle right there. It's currently available. Um, so we thought, well, are they gonna get the like kid size castle in here? Because that would be amazing. And if they did not, like it just they didn't ever have like a big play set like that. They had that dollhouse, but that was it. Um, and I've always wondered, like, where did that thing go? I remember after they had taken ours out, I consider it ours because, that was our store. After they had taken the Columbus one out, we, as a family, went to Chicago and we went to the AG store and they still had the Welly Wisher Playhouse. And I have pictures of her. Like, I'll put some pictures up here, but I'll blur her face or I'll put a little sticker over it or whatever because she's a minor and she deserves privacy. Um, but I was like, oh my gosh, there's a Welly Wisher Playhouse still here. And it had been like retired. The Welly Wisher size had already been retired, but they just kept it. And I think they still have it. And the New York one still has it. Um, but it was so exciting. And we took pictures and I was like, oh, I really miss that. I miss her being able to play in that. Well, now we don't even have a store. I mean, forget we don't have the house. We don't even have a store. But I've always wondered, like, where did that thing go? It's huge. Like, somebody had to get it. I know what happened to most of the stuff when the store closed. Like, employees got certain amounts, and some employees kind of gave me the inside scoop on that. And they made a huge donation to the Ronald McDonald House locally. And my understanding is that was not standard operating procedure for all of the stores when they closed, all of the stores that have closed. That was something that happened because a manager at the local store fought for that to happen so that things wouldn't just go to dumpsters, which is one, crazy that their fate would have been to go to dumpsters, and also fantastic that she made that happen. So I've always wondered where the thing went, but obviously wasn't going to get any answers. And then this past weekend, and I have not been on Facebook Marketplace at all. I don't even know how I ended up on there because I wasn't going on there to scroll. I haven't been on social media really at all. And I mean, other than like to post, that's it. But I saw a listing in this area for that house. And I was I'm just going to go ahead and tell you the price, for $100. Like, that is cheaper than the cheapest American Girl 18-inch doll for this massive, it is 6 foot tall, like 5 feet wide, or I don't know, it's massive, for $100. And then I looked, and it's like, I live in the Columbus area, but I live in a specific like town just a little bit north of Columbus. They were in the same town. I sent is this still available? I would be so excited. I'll probably put a screenshot up here. Like, I initially was like, I would be so excited. I would absolutely get this. And then I added, because I wanted to like tug at their heartstrings a little bit. Like, we used to take I didn't give her like, oh, she was a preemie and this was one of the first places, blah, blah, blah. I just said, we used to take my daughter and I have so many pictures and so many good memories of her playing in this thing that would be so cool. And then she didn't see it. It was kind of late at night. I mean, it wasn't like 3 in the morning, but it was like 11 or something. And then in the morning, so Sunday morning, I'm filming this on a Monday, by the way. So Sunday morning, I checked my messages and she had seen it. And I was like, then respond. Come on, don't leave me hanging. And I looked at Grace, and my wife, and I was like, should I just say, like, hey, just checking in? And I was like, but I was effusive. I was like really obviously gung-ho to get it. Like, she knows. Like, what else can I add? And then I went to go pick up our groceries, and I was sitting in the parking lot, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to anyway. I'm just going to reach out one more time, and I'll like be a little apologetic at first, but you never know. Like, sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and I figured at least this way she'll tell me something. Like, she'll say, hey, I'm still waiting to hear back from somebody. Or, hey, there are 2 people ahead of you. That's why I haven't answered yet. I'm waiting to see if one of them shows up or something. So I was like, hey, I'm not trying to be a pest. I think I'm just like geeked out at the mere possibility of being able to surprise my daughter with this. And between you and I, also to have like such an iconic piece of the store's history now that we don't have the store anymore, but also like my daughter to be able to play with it. And she responded. Well, I saw that she saw it. And I was like, come on, come on, come on. And she responded and she was like, well, I was waiting on somebody. There was somebody ahead of you, but they haven't gotten back to me yet, so you can have it. Let me back up. When I saw it on Saturday night, I like sent the message asking about it, and then I showed my wife the picture, and she was like, yeah, ask him if it's available. And I was like, already on it, done. So maybe that was the wrong order. I don't know, but so I sent Grace a message, and I was like, we get it, we get it. Or maybe I waited till I got home. I don't know. It was a blur. I was so excited. I was so excited. Like, I know that this is not a thing that most people would be as excited about, and also not a thing that most people have the space for. But I was like, that is a problem for tomorrow's Kristie. Like, I will figure that out later. And so I asked where they were. Like, I knew they were in my town, but like, it's not a tiny town. And they told me the street name. I was like, get out. Like, if this is a main street, we're on this little offshoot in a subdivision. They're on this little offshoot in a subdivision. 3 minutes. It took me 3 minutes from the time I got in my car and started pulling out of the driveway to the time I pulled up in their driveway. Who knew? Who knew that this thing had just been sitting in somebody's basement for a couple of years? 3 minutes from us. We have literally driven past their house when we're like in doing like neighborhood yard sales or whatever, trying to get some clothes for the kiddo. So I said, I'm gonna drive home and put the groceries away, and then I will head out. Do I need, they said, you have to disassemble. And I'm like, that's fine. Do I need a toolkit? The woman said, yeah, my husband will be there. The toolkit's probably not a bad idea. So I grabbed my toolbox. I was like, is Venmo okay, or do I need to go get cash? Venmo's fine. Okay. So I only put away the frozen and the refrigerated things, and I said, you guys can put the rest away. I'm gonna go. So I headed over my long 3-minute drive, and I pulled up, and the man was nice and greeted me, but also his giant Great Dane greeted me. Hey, Harlow, if you're watching. His dog was huge. And went down to the basement and was chatting with him. And shout out to Dennis, you're a real one. He was so helpful. The screws on this thing, like, they're very wide but narrow. Like, the groove is shallow, so it's very easy for the screwdriver to slip. And it was just, it took a little while. It's a big thing to take apart. I took it apart. Me and my Prius, I'm like, oh, I can get it over here. Well, you never know. Priuses are like TARDISes. They are bigger on the inside, but it was like lots of the pieces weren't going to fit. And I was like, that's all right. I don't have any bungee stuff with me, but I can just drive it home, drop off the couple of small pieces that fit in the car, and then drive back with bungee cords, and I'll just, do a tie down. And it's such a short drive, and it's all residential. You only have to cross that one kind of main road. And I was like, the rest I can take at like 10 miles an hour if I need to. It'll be fine. And then he was like, I can help you. I can see what I can fit in my car. So we tried that. And then he was like, oh gosh, nothing's going to fit in my car either. These are really wide. Hold on. And calls his wife and swaps out the cars, like goes to wherever she is and swaps out the cars and comes back. And we're able to get more in his car, and we drive over, drop some things off, come back, and we decide, yep, there's 2 pieces that just aren't even going to fit in there. So we put them on the top and get in his car and roll down the windows and hold our hands out and go like this. But yeah, I got all the pieces over. I mean, Dennis and I got all the pieces over. I asked, like, how did you come upon this? Because I've literally been wondering for the past couple of years where this thing went and who lucked out and got it. And he said, and I don't think I'm getting anybody in trouble because she doesn't work there anymore. But he said my sister-in-law was one of the managers there, and when they had to take it out to make room for whatever else, she asked if we wanted it because we have a little girl. And our daughters are about the same age, but maybe she just wasn't as into it, or I think it was like it was in an unfinished basement, and it's not the most inviting place to be for a kid to play in an unfinished basement. I don't know. I was like, so I told him a little bit about the channel, and I was like talking his ear off about how I customize dolls, and he probably thought I was nuts. He probably thought it was crazy. Got home. We had other plans. We went to see Disney on Ice. Man, it was a day. Pick up that stuff, go see Disney on Ice, come back and put the house together. I was so sore this morning when I woke up. Oh my gosh. Like 46. I'm not cut out for doing all this stuff in one day, but I also am not patient, and I like to just get projects done. So I was like, we're doing it. And my daughter knows me well, because as soon as we were on the way home, she was like, and when we get home, Mama's going to put the Welly Wisher house together. And I was like, well, either she's a little entitled or she just knows me. And Grace was like, meh, or both. But we got home, and we had initially, like for a hot second, considered putting it in the living room. And Grace was like, as soon as she saw it, she was like, oh no, I forgot how big that thing is. Well, on the phone, she said, yeah, we could, I think that in the corner of the living room, it'll fit. It'll be okay. We'll just have to figure out what to do with it at Christmas time, because that's where we put the Christmas tree. And I said, oh no, where it gets set up, it stays. So if it can't stay there year round, it can't go there. It's going to be too heavy, and you would have to take the whole thing down. And Christmas decorating is already labor intensive enough. So then we were talking, and like, maybe in the loft, which is right outside this door. Maybe in the loft. I think it'll work there. Again, I was like, I don't care. I'm getting it. This is Kristie of tomorrow's problem. I'm getting it. So I got it, and brought it up to the loft, brought all the pieces up to the loft, and parts of it were really easy. Parts of it were, one part in particular, like I didn't take enough pictures. I took pictures and video of all of the inside so that I could rewatch it and know where things went. But I didn't take things from around the back, and so that caused some struggle because we didn't know how it was supposed to be put together back there. But Grace eventually figured it out after I was like sweaty and kind of frustrated, and she was like, wait, I think this. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Gosh, I married a smart woman. So got the whole thing put together. There are a couple spots that are going to need some touch-ups. It was missing several screws, like several. So on my lunch break at work today, I ran to the hardware store and I said, do you have more of these specific ones? Because it had screws of different sizes, and some of them I happened to have in the garage, but others I didn't. And it had these kind of special things that twist together, and I was like, do you have more of these? So I bought some of those on my break and finished putting it all together today. And then we moved it, and it's in its place, and we kind of rearranged some other things, and it looks so good. And I know that not all American Girl doll collectors give a whip about welly wishers. We have all the things. We have the itty bitty babies, the bitty babies, the welly wishers, the American Girl dolls. Like, we have all their doll lines. I am most passionate about the 18-inch ones, but this thing just, like, the nostalgia of, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to print out some of the pictures of my daughter playing in this throughout, like, different points of her childhood at the store, and I'm going to frame them and put them up around it or somewhere in that room in the loft, because it's just like making my heart so happy. She's geeked out. She does not want to go to bed. I mean, she never wants to go to bed, but she's so excited. I was like, we were playing Welly Wishers tonight, and like she was Willa and I was Kendall, and I was like, because Kendall like fixes the things, I had to like tighten a couple more things on it, and I was like, oh, then I'm Kendall. And at one point I was like, oh, you've got your rain boots downstairs. You could set them like right outside the door, and that could be like, you know, your wellies. And she was like, oh, I'll be right back. She ran down and she told Grace, who was making dinner, like, I'm getting my wellies and be like the welly wishers. And she runs back up. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. It is obviously the biggest big ticket item. It's massive. The biggest big ticket item I will ever have from American Girl. But also, like, how cool is it that we now have the party chair in the basement that we got on the very last day? If you are not familiar, just keep it short for the people who are faithful viewers. When the store closed, the Ronald McDonald House at the last minute was like, we don't have anywhere for this massive tacky chair. They probably didn't say it that way. And somebody from the store called us, like reached out to us and said specifically to Grace and I, do you want it? And we were like, yes, obviously, of course. Where are we going to put it? I don't know. We'll figure it out. So we have that chair down in the basement, and I film in it regularly, and it's there in case we want to feel like special birthday girls. And it's the coolest thing to have this piece of the store's history. And now we have the Willy Wisher house. What is my life? I mean, the world I don't want to talk about, I don't want to think about. But within the confines of these walls of my home, what is life? Like, oh my gosh. Also, it's not only cool to have like this thing that she played with and that like brings me so much good nostalgia, and to have this piece of history of a store that's no longer open, but like, how many of these are there even in existence? Like, somebody said the Charlotte store had one, Seattle did, Houston did, Dallas did, but they don't now that they've revamped. Chicago still does, I believe, and New York still does. I would have a hard time believing that Nashville ever did because it's such a small store, but I don't know. Like, if you're watching and you have seen this, or if you know that your local store never had it, let me know in the comments, because I'm so curious to know, like, how many of them even exist in the world? It's gotta be what, like at most 25? Not even? What a cool freaking thing to have. Oh, and by the way, I bought it with YouTube money. So I don't make much YouTube money, but, and I've like started, but just haven't been as excited about making that video. But some people were wondering, like, kind of the back end of things, like a little bit about YouTube analytics, a little bit about like how much money I cannot speak for anybody else, but I am very comfortable talking freely about money. Just a quick word, like, the least I've made it in a year or in a month is 0, obviously, before the channel was monetized. And usually you have to have 100 every month for them to do a deposit. And it's been like, I've been getting a deposit every month for the last a while. But I think this past month's, January's, was like my lowest in 7 or 8 or 9 months, and it was $136. So if you knew how many hours I put into filming and editing videos, this is not even sweatshop labor like earnings. I do it because I enjoy it, right? I make much better money at my actual job. But my point is that money goes into my doll budget, and I have been like buying nothing so far this year. So I just took that money out of my doll budget, and that's what bought that house. So thanks for viewing, because, you helped get some money in that account and helped me buy that thing. All right, she sounds kind of quiet, so I'm going to go out there and I'm going to keep this part quiet, and I'll maybe do a voiceover later because I'm going to turn on the light, and that's kind of pushing it, and I don't want to start talking while I'm out there. So, hang tight. Okay, so before I give you the actual tour of the house and show you where I put it in our loft, indulge me with some cute pictures from my child's toddlerhood. And I wanted to just give you a brief clip of when I got in the car ready to go pick up this thing. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I cannot believe what I'm about to go pick up. Ah! All right, so here it is in their basement, a mere 3 minutes from our home. And then here I'm putting it together on the second floor of our house. And the kiddo, of course, wanted to come supervise. Most of the time, she was welcome to, except for that one time when I was like sweaty and it was hard and I was getting frustrated. But most of it was easy. All right, here it is in the loft in its permanent place. I didn't turn the loft light on. I'm just using the ring light. So, not the best lighting, but I could hear her playing down at the end of the hall in her room. And I knew that if I turned that light on, she was going to go, Mama, what's all the racket about there? I need water. I need another toy. Can I get some Cheez Its in here? So I was like, I'm not doing anything to disturb her. Um, and I am trying to give you like enough close ups for people who have never been in a store and didn't know that there's this giant thing with a little mud pie station, right? And a little table so you can have your mud pies. It's so cute. It's the coolest piece. And it's not an exact replica of the doll version that they used to sell because that one had a loft bed and like doors that open, and the whole thing kind of opened out and you could play with it from both sides. Obviously this is different, but the color scheme and the theme and the little welcome mat and the rug, oh yeah, I can feed the bunny. um all of those things are spot on, like, for all intents and purposes, this is the Welly Wisher Playhouse. Look, all five girls are playing. This was obviously pre-Bryant, so he's not pictured. And I think we're going to get a little pie plate and make a mud pie out of felt because they were the ones that come with the Welly Wisher set, were made out of felt. So I think we're going to make something like that. Here's the other side. And we were trying to put it somewhere in the house, like in this room where she had enough room to access it from both sides, like not push it up against a corner, because I wanted to be able to run through there and also pull up a seat and have a mud pie. So, yeah, here is the proud homeowner. Um, we sent that to my older daughter, and she was like, "Oh, ask her if I can come visit her home." And my daughter was so excited. She was like, "Annika, is she coming over now?" And I said, "No, she just wants to, maybe bring you a housewarming gift or something next time she's over." And then here it is a little bit. I kind of pulled back so you could see it situated. Don't mind the 26 that's in the background wearing no clothes. I took her dress off for just a minute and I haven't put it back on yet. Anyway, speaking of big ticket items, in just a second, I'm going to put a couple things you can click on if you want to keep watching. One of them is a comparison video that I did of like every single big ticket item that we own for American Girl dolls. And pros and cons and ranking them, rating them, and all of the things. So if you haven't seen that, highly recommend it. And then I'm going to put a playlist of dollhouse tours because that feels like it kind of goes along with this video. So if you're in the mood for more of the same or something similar to this, click either on the playlist on the left or the video on the right. Other than that, have a fantastic day. Drop me any comment you want doll related below, and I will be sure to read it and respond. Take care.